Hey everybody, it's Monster back again with Opus Gaming, and I'm here today to bring you guys my Hunters deck profile updated for the BT13 format. If you guys haven't been aware, Hunters has actually been performing extremely well so far in the BT13 format, and it's something we've actually been talking about quite a bit on my on our podcast with some of my teammates. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check out the podcast, episode 1 is out, so we'll have a link down below. But just in general, looking at where the format is and some of the things that the format has, Hunters has a great toolbox to deal with it. But before I run away, you guys already know, talking too much about some of the text and some of the choices and some of the lines that you want to go down for the different meta matchups. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers, so if you guys aren't subbed, drop a sub down below. We're doing a big giveaway once we hit 1,000 subscribers, so we'll have more detail for that down below. But if you're just here supporting, leave a like, leave a comment, and let's get to the video right now. Alright, let's get into the deck profile portion of the video. We'll start off with the eggs, I should say. We have a 4-1 split. It's the exact same split that we were running last time for Hunters, and that's going to be 1 Kanzamon to the 4 Monomon. Same reasoning here. You do build stacks here every once in a while, and you do sometimes just want that extra value going into like the mid game and the late game where you strive the most. So we're playing one of that, but we have the 4 Monomon just to help with a consistent draw here. So getting into the rookies, we'll start off with our 2 Wanos. We have 1 Akakimon and 1 Shumon. You want to play a high number of rookies just because you are constantly cycling cards in your raising, but also underneath your Tamers. Both of these effects are also very impactful, so getting minus 2k. The big thing with the minus 2k, I only play 1 of it now just because the space is so tight with what I feel like you have to run with the current meta. But the thing with the Kakimon is minusing the 6k bodies down to 4k and then killing them with the 4k destruction inheritable actually comes up so frequently now. So I really like a Kakimon at 1, and you're kind of forced to play it at that number. And then Shumon is just a really good inheritable. Neither of those Digimon have save themselves, but they have save in their techs. But for our Digimon that do have save, we have 4 Drachmon, 4 Gumdramon, and 4 Psychmon. This is very, very standard. Starting off with the Psychmon, you just want this for your Ostamon plays, and then you also want it for its ability to cycle cards back to your hand. And then Gumdramon, when you are running thin on cards underneath your Tamers, Gumdramon can just get the ball rolling, get some cards under your Tamer, but you also cycle cards in hand as well. So for both of those, and then Drachmon. This card is I feel like it's a new staple. Going forward, you're really going to need to be pushing your Arrestedramon up to high numbers to be able to swing. And one of the sweet spots is going to be hitting either 14k or 16k. So you can swing through Royal Knight's security when you don't have the Clockmon, or swinging over their big blockers at 14k. So knowing that you need to be hitting those numbers is something important, and then also having Drachmon be one of the Digicross rookies is just another benefit, so that you're able to pop off and build boards out of nowhere. So that's where we're at for rookies right now. I think that it's a really consistent rookie lineup. But moving on from there, we're going to look at level 4s, and we're going to actually talk about one level 4 in particular because it's very important. Clockmon. Clockmon right now, where it was before, it was a card that you could play like 1 or 2 of just because it was kind of niche. It's a good starter. But in this version of Hunters and in the current meta, I think getting jamming underneath every one of your swings is crazy important because you're really looking to go... You don't have very much time in the meta, so you want to go a little bit faster. So you're looking to set up Arrestedramon swings for 2 checks, and usually what that looks like is swinging with another one of your level 4s, with a jamming swing underneath it with a Watchmaker to give it security check +1, and then Digivolving to Arrestedramon to get that end of turn swing for 2 checks, putting your opponent into a security or a life range where you can go for game from there. So having 3 of the Clockmon is truly in there just so it can be a starter for you in your opening couple turns, but it also circles back to be a very important combo card in the mid game. Some of those important level 4s that we're talking about are going to be Shoutmon King version, as well as Damemon. Shoutmon King version is just way more important. I really like playing both of these level 4s because they cycle cards from your trash underneath your Tamers, so they just help you keep on route to have a plentiful amount of Tamers to continuously cycle and Digivolve in. And when you're swinging these guys with the jamming underneath, even if you only have 1 draw inheritable, if you're swinging draw and then your opponent is forced to swing into your Digimon, it just gives you more turns to continue to push just this little bit of aggression so that you can put your opponent into a space that you can close them out from game. So Shoutmon is just the more consistent one because you can play from your hand, but Damemon comes in and is a very valuable one, because when you come in, it gets you just so much value on board. Reveal your top 3 cards, hit a Tamer, and if you can hit off that, it's just you don't lose a card in hand, so you can get another play on the next turn. So it's inheritable. Being blocker is also very important, but honestly, both of these level 4s are just cards you want to bring out. Like I said, you want to abuse the Clockmon, make them jamming, swing with them, and then you want to go into your Arrestedramon after. Next up, we have Arrestedramon, just the regular Arrestedramon level 4. This is the Rush Attacker, and this is the card that really takes benefit on you playing those extra Drachmons and those extra Digicross rookies, so that you're able to play a rookie for 2, Digivolve into this hopefully for free, and in those game states where you, in the late game where you have a Memory Tamer and a you go to 4 memory, you can play a rookie, Digivolve on top of this for free. And if you have another 2 Tamers, you can play out another rookie, go to 0, play into another Arrestedramon. And we just have lots of really aggressive plays like that. So Arrestedramon at 4 is non-negotiable for me. I know a lot of people kind of like to drop it down to 3 sometimes when you're looking at space and ratios, but we play a ton of level 4s just because we're not playing nearly as many level 5s. Losing a level 5 means that you lose all of the sources underneath, and it's really important to make sure that we're keeping our sources. So we'll talk about our 2 level 5s. We'll talk about Awesomon first. This is just in here to facilitate a little bit of a Quartzmon engine. Unfortunately, in the current meta, Quartzmon isn't as impactful as it has been in the past, but it's still a fantastic card, so we're only playing 1 of that, but it's another really good draw inheritable. So when you are forced to use it as an inheritable, it does come up and replace itself. Next up, we have 4 of the Arrestedramon Superior mode. I know some lists in the past have also played this at 3. Non-negotiable for me, you have to play it at 4 now. It's your win condition against all of the faster decks, and it's what turns your aggression on. So Arrestedramon is fantastic, though. I like this card so much. There's not much to talk about other than you really want to be pairing Arrestedramon with Pokemon. Arrestedramon jamming is just really, really awesome, and sometimes you can go Arrestedramon Clockmon with either Damimon or Chumon underneath, so you can have swinging at the end of the turn, jamming, and then you don't have to turn it sideways, so you can still chump block some of your opponent's attacks on the next turn. Another thing that you can do when you leave an Arrestedramon standing like that is that when you, after you do block the first time, if they declare another attack, you can use Metal Garurumon Ace to Ace Digivolve and get your, or Blaster Digivolve or Counter Digivolve and pass your opponent's turn. Where this really comes up and is nice is in those really long swing turns from decks like from Shine Greymon, decks like other Hunter decks where they're trying to finish you out in 1 turn and it takes a certain amount of memory to do so. And just like any time that you are decently ahead, so let's say that you burn 4 of your security with 1 body with a superior mode, Digivolving to an Ace Garurumon just to force your opponent to pass turn when they're trying to chump swing into your security is just how you secure games, because then you can just take 1 check with the Ace Garurumon and go for a rush swing. So this card can come in just so many matchups, even in the Belphemon matchup. It can come out if your opponent has to Digivolve and before they can go into their last Digivolve or their swing and resend off Oriyumon, you Digivolve here and just pass turn. So the one matchup that it doesn't come in and isn't as consistent in is versus Royal Knights. Royal Knights, a lot of times if you have a level 5 on board, it'll get killed on their pop-off turn, which is really the big turn that you want to be bouncing back to you. But if your opponent's trying to swing with the chump card, I forgot what it's called. It's like it's the white Omekamon, I believe. If they swing with an Omekamon, you can catch your opponent lacking with a Garurumon Ace. So the Ace Digivolution is actually a huge mechanic that's been added to this archetype, and it gives you just the edge on your opponent when you're pushing so aggressively. So we see the one of Quartzmon here. Super important, it does have save, and usually you can find it from underneath the Tamer, so it's not too bad. Like I said before, it's not as important as it has been in past metas, so we're just playing it at 1, and that's really just where we're at with it. Now we're talking about Tamers. We're playing 3 Watchmaker. This is super controversial. I think this is non-negotiable for the format right now. Having your security check +1 is super, super important. Watchmaker doesn't count your colors. It only counts your number of Tamers. But if you're able to establish these, and this is a really good starter as well, but if you're able to establish these for the first couple turns, fixes your hand, gets you additional Digimon in hand, so that you can then set up your Taiki plays, your U plays, and your other Tamers that you're running. But it just gets the ball rolling. It's a really important part of the list, and I think that right now, security check +1, just closing out the game fast, is actually where you really have to be with Arrestedramon, because you just have to keep up with all these other decks. So it's just my opinion, though. Looking at the rest of our Tamers, for the regular Tamer package that come out for free with your level 4s, we have 4 of the Taiki Kudo, probably the most important one, 2 Taiguru, and 2 of the U. I think U will start off with. I think U is fantastic. It gets you into a range where you can just really go for more plays and be more aggressive. It is kind of rough to start off with it super early in the game, but it is useful in the early game because it can always put you to 2, and then you can always go into a level 4 from there. So U is important, but I think playing it at 2, especially with 3 Damimon, is totally fine. Next up, we have Tiguru, the Memory Tamer. I personally just feel like 2 Memory Tamers is perfect, especially because it doesn't have a start of main effect that you can utilize. And then we play 4 Taikukudo. I like this card a lot. It's really what gets you going. A lot of times you can just cycle your additional save cards until you hit an additional Tamer. So this is the card that you want to see in your opening hand. And then looking at our last few cards, we do still play a couple of Rivals cards. So we play 1 Rentobari and 1 Ryoma. Rentobari is a card that helps us get into DP thresholds to swing over our opponent's Digimon. So the really important numbers is 14 against Royal Knights, so that they don't have as easy of a time blocking you and you can get through their security a little bit easier. Or 16 if you're scared of hitting a 14k Omnimon. So this helps you a lot because it's a consistent every turn at the start of your main phase that you can give a Digimon plus 2k, as well as combining that with your 2k inheritables. And then another card that I love, Ryoma. Ryoma combos super well with overflowing power, and it's just consistent. Sometimes when you lose an Arrestedramon, if you have a Psychmon that can fish out your Arrestedramon from underneath the Tamer, you just pick up that Arrestedramon with Ryoma, play out the Psychmon, get that Arrestedramon back, Digivolve into one of your level 4s, and then you go into that exact same Arrestedramon. So cycling cards back is still super important. It's not as important as it was in the past with when you were playing more of the Rivals package, but I think that just playing the Hunters package purely with just a little bit sprinkled in is really nice. And then you have Overflowing Power. I think this card is fantastic. It is a little bit rough not having room to play a second one of this and a Calling from Darkness, but it's okay. But that's just going to be my deck profile for where we're at with Hunters. I think the list is super consistent, and I think that Hunters in general in the meta is fantastic, but we do a lot of talking about Hunters in the past podcasts. So check out the podcast if you guys haven't had a chance to yet, but this is Jijimon with Opus Gaming, and we're out.